Welcome, angels, to Think Outside the Box. How and what ways are you able to think outside the box? Possibly challenging your perspectives, working backwards from a goal, possibly, or even getting outside your comfort zone and exploring an area or going somewhere new that you've never been before. There's that and so many more ways, angels, that you can think outside the box. I'm Heather Buzzard of Buzzard's Corner of Love, bringing people back to themselves, where we uplift and inspire you to become who you truly came here to be. Angels, we are at the end of the month, so we are wrapping up our theme of the month, humility and judgment. And our last topic today is on humility and judgment, yet forgiveness and humility, and how those two play a role in becoming more humble, especially now that the holiday seasons are upon us. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, we're going to be around a lot of family members and whatnot. People we may agree with and some we may not agree with. And yet, during the holiday season, especially during that time, because we never know when we'll see that next family member again, we can do our best to be humble. We put our posting over at buzzardscorner.com, BUZZARDSKJORNER, buzzardscorner with a K.com, talking about humility, angels. You can go over there and check that out as well. So, talking about humility and forgiveness and how the two play hand in hand. Yet before we get started, angels, grab your favorite drink. Today I'm drinking ice water. Can you believe it's in November? It was 85 degrees out here. So I'm drinking ice water today. Very refreshing. So take a sip of your favorite drink. Angels, sit back and relax. Forgiveness and humility. And you may ask, well, how do those two go hand in hand? Yet I will tell you, both forgiveness and humility are processes that can be cultivated through intentional practices. And they are deeply interconnected, angels. To practicing one often reinforces the other. And we're going to share 8 different ways in which you can practice forgiveness and humility, and you'll see how they tie hand in hand. Yet before I give you these 8 ways, I'm going to give you a personal story because I always go by a personal example. When I was younger, back in my 20s, and I was walking my dark night of the soul, really trying to figure out who I was, where I came from, where my parents were, et cetera, so on, wondering what I was doing here, I had to learn about forgiveness. And back in my 20s, I was very proud and very egotistical, stuck in the stubbornness stage, and didn't feel that anybody deserved forgiveness. They did this to me mentality is what I had back then. Yet as I journeyed on in my path through my 20s and into my 30s, I began to realize that forgiveness isn't about that other person. Forgiveness truly is about me. So I stopped and I thought about that. And I said, well, Heather, if you really choose freedom, which you say you value, do you really choose to forgive the other person and forgive yourself? Now, along the way on that journey, angels, I learned that in truth, I really wasn't forgiving that other person because there's only one of us. So in truth, I was really forgiving myself. And when I really came to understand that, it made forgiving for me a lot easier to move forward in my life. Whereas today, I'm willing to forgive because I know that that gives me not only freedom from emotions, but freedom from past, freedom from thinking negative, freedom from negative energy. It brings freedom and it brings a sense of peace and clarity into your life as well. So I've used forgiveness in my life in that way, forgiving myself, forgiving my birth parents, forgiving my parents who raised me, forgiving my choices along my path when I was younger, and all of the negative things that I did to myself. And as I've journeyed on that path, angels, into my 30s, into my 40s, I began, especially in my late 40s, I began to develop a little tiny sense of humility. That pride that I had been carrying for so long in my life, that put up so many barriers, was beginning to crumble. And I will say, angels, it wasn't until I entered my 50s that I really allowed that pride to fall down. And when I entered into my 50s, I went through a lot of different experiences to come to a space of humility. And I've shared some with you, going through the hospital and being in that for over a year and all of that, and having to be taken care of and all of that. That has helped me become humble. And forgiveness and humility are tied. I've experienced it. When I was in that hospital, I was beating myself up because of the choices that I had made to put myself there. So I did forgiveness work with myself, and I experienced humility and being humble in that hospital situation. And there's videos on our channel, Angels, if you'd like to go back and look at that. Yet that is just a personal experience of how forgiveness and humility are tied together on a personal level. So, ways for you to practice forgiveness, and you have to ask yourself, are you willing to practice forgiveness? Does that mean anything to you? Do you think that you will feel free by forgiving whatever it may be in your life? Do you even think that you have anything to forgive? Or do you think you're just fine? First of all, you need to acknowledge the pain. And that's what a lot of us don't do. We drink it, drug it, sex it, TV, watch it, shop it, gamble it, go out, do everything via social media, everything we can to numb our pain. Yet life is a feeling, angels. Life isn't about doing, life is about being. And when you're being, you're a feeling being. We are feeling beings. So the first thing we need to do is to acknowledge the pain that it is there and recognize and admit to yourself that it's there. Don't beat yourself up about it. When I was going through my challenges in my life, I did beat myself up for it because I didn't know any better. Yet today, when I go through experiences in my life, I don't beat myself up about it. And I give myself that space to forgive or to acknowledge what it is that I need to forgive. Because by suppressing it, when you suppress your emotions, angels, how does that make you feel? Do you feel free? Do you feel lighter in the world? Do you feel happy? Do you feel joyful? If you're repressing anger, resentment, sorrow, disappointment, and just stuffing it down, it's got to come out some kind of way, somehow, some way, so in some way, shape, or form. Have you ever thought about that? The second thing is to become forgivingly fit. And you may say, well, what is forgivingly fit? That's when you start with small acts of mercy in everyday life, like refraining from negative talk about yourself or somebody else, or about those who have harmed you. Maybe just being silent for a day. That's a small step to forgiveness. And angels, it's those small steps that create the big ones when we get there. And I tell you, on my forgiveness journey, I took tiny, tiny little steps before I could get to the big ones, to where I was able to take leaps of faith. Yet everything starts out with a small step. You can even recognize your shared humanity, which can open the door to forgiveness and compassion. When I apologize, I skipped ahead of myself. When you refrain from negative talk and you choose to not talk about those that harm you, it builds up a greater capacity of forgiveness in your life. Over time, the more quiet you are, the less that you speak that negative words, the more you will realize it will build up that forgiveness energy. And eventually you will be able to forgive, because we know that what we speak is what we create. So if we're talking negative, we can't forgive and be in a negative space at the same time. They just don't work. Another is developing empathy, trying to understand your life experiences and your wounds, of the person that hurt you, or if you've hurt yourself. Recognize your shared humanity, which can open doors to compassion and empathy. I can only use my story. When I found out about my birth mother's story and all of what she went through from the time she had me at 15 until I met her, I was like, wow. And you thought you went through some things, Heather. So I was able to open up my heart and develop more empathy toward myself and toward my mother and my sisters, listening to what they went through as they were growing up. And I didn't experience any of that. So it does open you up to empathy. You can find meaning in your suffering. And you may say, what? I will tell you this, angels. I have found a purpose in the reason why I went through the journey I went through. My book comes out January 2026, Reclaiming My Identity. I tell you, it has been a powerful journey. And by walking this path, I have found meaning in all of the pain, to be an example, to be positive, to step into who I am, to recognize and know that I am a child of God, to claim that, to stand in that, to be an example for others so that they can claim that within themselves as well. So that's what I mean when they say find, or that's what they mean when they say find a meaning in your suffering. And how has your negative energies changed your life for the positive? I tell you, angels, the only reason why I have Buzzard's Corner of Love in this platform is because of all that I have went through. The only reason why I have my book coming out in January is because of all of the experiences that I have went through. And it is those negative experiences at the time that I did not understand that has given me this platform to speak to others in a positive way, to show how that energy can turn into a positive. Forgiving yourself, angels. Extend the same compassion to yourself that you do to another. I will tell you this. You really can't forgive another unless you forgive yourself. And I learned all of that in my forgiveness journey. And I was always thinking it was them out there that I was forgiving. Well, I don't want to forgive them because of what they did. And I won't let them off the hook, because then if I do, then they're getting away with something and that's not right. And yada, yada, yada. Yet really, angels, it has nothing to do with the other person. You are freeing yourself. Think about that. How many of us are carrying around dead weight, especially other people's dead weight? Think about that. Let go of the hurt. You have to be willing to let go of the hurt. Angels, in order for me to go on that path of finding my birth parents and going on the path of forgiveness and discovering who I am and all of that, was because I was willing to let go of the hurt, to change my consciousness, to have a different way of thinking than what I was told that I would be, how I was raised up. I did that because I chose to walk through life in freedom and happiness without all that sorrow and pain of yesteryear, because we can't change the past. And in knowing that, what good does it do you to hold on to it? How does that serve you now? If you can answer that and it benefits you in your life, great. Communicate if you're possible and pray for the offender. And when I heard that, I was way back in my 20s. I was like, pray? You want me to pray for them? And I didn't understand that then. Fast forward 30 years later, angels, I will pray for another person in an instant because I know that there's only one power, one presence, one energy. And when I pray for that person, in truth, I'm praying for myself. And I know this now. So if you're able to pray for that other person, no matter what it is they did or said or may have or hadn't happened in your life, if you can pray for them, you can pray for yourself. And you will experience forgiveness in the long term. And develop a forgiving heart as a lifestyle. Forgiveness as an ongoing attitude and practice, not a one-time event. It's to create an atmosphere of love and peace. And angels, that's one thing that I understand today in my 50s, is that I have created an atmosphere of forgiveness when something, whether I have to forgive myself, forgive somebody else, or in fact, today when I was out driving, this lady cut in front of me and I was going to start, saying some unchoice words. Yet I was like, Heather, just forgive, let it go. Because it doesn't benefit us to hang on to that negative energies. Angels, it really doesn't. So those are ways that you can practice forgiveness in your life. And here are some ways that you can practice humility. Acknowledge your own shortcomings. And that's one thing that I did. And ego will fight you tooth and nail, I guarantee you. Yet if you're willing to stick with it and fight through that ego talk, you can honestly sit down and write your shortcomings, look at them, and be okay with it. Now, when I did that experience, angels, and I was like, ouch, ouch, it hurt. It did, to really see it. And when you write it down, it makes it real. And you're like, oh. Yet if you're able to move through that and accept it, then you can change it. Listen to others. That was a big challenge of mine. Listening to others. Show that you're willing to learn from everyone, regardless of their background or their status, and it makes others feel valued and it helps you gain a new perspective. Now, when I was in my 20s, 30s, early 40s, and late 40s, listening to others, yet I understand, especially entering my 50s, angels, that really wisdom is with the elders. And when I sit down and I listen with my elders, I do hear wisdom. And I know that I'm gaining that wisdom by being in their presence. So listen to others. If you're able to be in a positive, safe environment, listen to that wisdom. Sit down, just take a pause and listen to that. Ask questions. I'm the question queen. My best buddy out here does not like the fact that I ask so many questions, yet you have to ask questions because if you want to know, you got to ask. And asking overcomes the pride of thinking that you already know. It stops you from admitting that you don't have all the answers. And when you think you have all the answers, then you don't ask questions. I ask questions, angels. Consider others before yourself. Actively prioritize the needs and interests of others. Now, if you have a family, you're probably doing that. If you don't have a family, find a church family or find a way that you can serve. I'm not so much about prioritizing yourself over another. I believe that you need to take care of yourself first in order to serve another. So I would say take care of yourself. Make sure you're giving yourself love, considering your self needs, and then you can empower and serve others in that manner. And that is from experience. Don't worry about status. Avoid seeking positions or possessions to elevate yourself. Instead, focus on serving others. And true leadership is often characterized by humility. And the truest leader was Jesus the Christ himself. And he was a very humble man. He didn't have the flashy cars, the gold, the jewelry, and all of that. He was a very humble man, and God is humble, is a very humble energy. So if you're able to incorporate that humbleness energy into your life, angels, you truly don't have to be concerned about status quo, because the universe will take care of you. And again, I'm an example of that experience happening. Have a sense of humor about yourself. Can you laugh at yourself? That is one thing that I have done. I can laugh at my past. And when you can laugh at your past, then you know that you're healed. Laugh at yourself, angels. It gives you the ability to not take yourself so seriously, and it prevents arrogance, and it fosters authenticity. And that is one thing that I pride myself on, is being authentic. And authenticity is a very important quality in my life. And when you're authentic, how many people do you know that are truly authentic people? And I think it's part of being original, or yeah, peculiar, as one of our ministers at our church would say. And help others, angels. Offer support and assistance to those in need without uh, shaming or judging them for what it is that they need. True humility is demonstrated by walking with others through their struggles. And that's exactly what Jesus the Christ did. He walked with everyone through their struggles. So why can't we? What makes us any better than Jesus the Christ? These are ways, angels, that you can practice forgiveness and humility, especially as we go into this Thanksgiving holiday. We're going into the Christmas season. We're going to be around family and friends. And like we said at the beginning of the show, some you may like and some you may not like. Yet still, how do you know when you'll see them next? Give yourself the chance to love. Give yourself the ability to forgive yourself, to love yourself, and to be humble, and let the universe support and uprise with you. Angels, that's the closing of our theme of the month on forgiveness and humility. I am so grateful. I've had a lot of great experiences in my personal life regarding being humble and forgiving. So it's been a great experience on this journey of this month. Angels, over on our website, buzzardscorner.com, BUZZARDSKORNER, Buzzards Corner with K.com. You can start or end your day with a blog posting. We put up a blog posting talking about how humble are you. It's a great 200-word article, 3-minute read. Angels, you can go over there, start or end your day with one of our postings over there. We've got individual and group coaching packages available over at our website. That and so much more at buzzardscorner.com. BUZZARDSKORNER, Buzzards Corner with a K.com. Right here on our YouTube channel, Angels, in the chat below, we've got 16 copies left of Breaking Shame, Reclaiming My Identity. We've got 16 pre-signed copies left. If you'd like one, you can email us. That email is in the chat below. Put your name, subject line, pre-order book, and we'll make sure you're on the list. And angels, we've got our website in the chat below as well. Please like, subscribe to our channel, share this with others. The world needs this light. We are transforming. Whether people are aware of it or not, it is occurring. And we, Buzzards Corner of Love, are here to support you. Next week, angels, we are moving into the month of December. Our theme of the month is Christ-like presence. Goes hand in hand with Christmas. So next week, we're going to talk about the Christ-like attitude. Join us for that. That's next week as we continue on. And angels, you can always go to buzzardscorner.com, BUZZARDSKORNER, Buzzards Corner with a K.com. Pick up our ebook, 8 Easy Steps to Improve Your Life Now. Download that. Pick up our other book, 5 Pillars for Life or Death. What are you choosing? And both of those are available at lulu.com. Angels, you can follow us on Facebook, X, all the social sites off of our website. There's that and so much more over at BUZZARDSKJORNER.com. BUZZARDSKJORNER. Buzzards Corner with a K.com. Angels, we here wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. Have a joyous holiday. Enjoy your families. Stay safe and be wonderful. Until next week, Angels, I am Heather Buzzard, a Buzzard's Corner of Love, bringing people back to themselves.